live. That's great. So today I have the guy who sews with me, and I'm going to be asking him some questions. We'll wait a little bit to see if more people can hop on and say hi before we get started.
And
Anything you want to say, Sean?
I just am happy to be here. I mean, I thank you for inviting me here today, and I am looking forward to hearing your questions and just you know letting you all know a little bit more about myself and what I do and that sort of thing.
This is going to be so fun. Is Finley in the room with you? Are we going to have him make an appearance sometime?
She's not here at the current moment, but she'll probably wander back up here at some point. And if she does, I'll grab her for you.
Awesome, because I know people will love to see her. She's so
Yeah,
cute.
she's a fun little dog.
All right, let's see. We've got 8 people on. Hello,
Oh,
everybody.
nice.
I've never done a live on like YouTube, so this is my first time. Sean is very experienced on being live on YouTube, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
lean
I'm
over
always
a little.
I'm always the guest.
Well, do you want to get started, or do you want to wait a little bit longer?
I think we can go ahead and get started. I mean, folks can always watch the replay of the parts they missed. So let's go ahead and get it moving.
All right, so I would like you to briefly introduce yourself for people who may be watching that might not be following you on Instagram, or I know most of my followers on YouTube, you recommended to come by, so they should know who you are, but on Instagram, I would just like people to get a little brief introduction from you.
Okay, sure. My name is Sean. I live in coastal Virginia, by the Atlantic Ocean. The reason I have an accent is that I was born and raised in Australia, and I moved here about 20 years ago. So I thankfully have kept the accent. I have a YouTube channel called The Guy Who Sews, and I basically do a short video every Sunday just showing what projects I've been working on, what I've completed, and so forth. And they post around at 9 a.m. Eastern Time each Sunday morning.
Okay. Let's see. Do you want to get started on your first question? We've got quite a list to get through.
Sure, but before we do, I do see a question here from my friend Doreen, and she's asking if I've started the charity quilt. And the answer to that is not yet. I got the fabric from Sew Year yesterday. It wasn't supposed to be until Monday. But I can't reveal too many details yet, but there is a plan for me to start that quilt as part of an event. So stay tuned for more details on that.
I'm excited to see that. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I found some really neat fabric to be the background for that, which you guys will see tomorrow morning.
All right, I just noticed, because you said people are in the chat, I clicked my chat on, so now I can see people. I'm sorry, I did not see it.
I know we're all learning today. This is a new platform for us, and I don't know. Maybe mine worked for some reason. The chat comes up on the right, so it's really neat how this program works. So
yeah. Shout out to my husband. He did all of the research and like legwork for this. He found this program, and it's working really well. So I am very appreciative of all his help and support. So
yes, no,
otherwise,
Austin did a good job because I wasn't sure what to do. I mean, I've done solo lives myself, but never one with another person that I've started up.
There we go. All right, you were locked for a second. I fixed it.
Oh.
All right, so let's get into question number 1. What is your first quilt-related memory or experience?
First one would probably be when my sister was born. She was 12 years younger than I am, and my auntie Nolene had made her, I believe it was like one of those puff quilts or biscuit quilts. Everyone calls it something different. Mm-hmm. But for me, mostly what I remember was the 2012 State Fair of Virginia. We went there for the first time, and they have animals and everything else. But part of it was they had the quilt show there, and I saw the quilts there, and I just loved it. I thought this was fantastic, and I was like, maybe I could try this someday. And that kind of got the ball rolling.
That's awesome. So you kind of pictured yourself quilting in the future in that moment?
Yes, and apparently I had mentioned that, I guess enough times that my wife bought me a sewing machine for Christmas that year, and that's yeah. I was looking into finding one and hadn't got around to it yet, but she decided that I needed one. So
That's awesome. All right. So how did you learn to quilt? Are you self-taught?
yes, I learned. I'd like to say I'm a graduate of YouTube University. I found a gentleman that was showing how to make a simple 16 block patchwork quilt. So I sat down and watched those videos. He was really easy to watch and he explained it really well. And so I figured, well, I'll try that first. And then, once I got the machine, I mean, I didn't know how to put the bobbin in or to thread it or anything else like that. So I went on the YouTube and looked up how to thread a machine, how to put the bobbin in, and just went from there because I did do home economics in high school in seventh and eighth grade um, because it was required, but they didn't teach me any of that, so I didn't really learn anything. So it was like starting all over again when I was in my mid 30s.
Yeah. I had home ec as well, and it's crazy how much you forget, like, within that time. I think we did, like, pajama pants or something, and when I first
Hmm.
started, it was the same way. YouTube is, like, the best resource out there to learn
Oh,
something.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's all free. And then I also subscribed to Craftsy for a while because, Angelo Walters was on there amongst other people, and they have some really good content as well if you're first starting out. YouTube has great resources, but if you want something a little more detailed, I found that was a really good subscription. I don't subscribe anymore because I've kind of figured it out for myself now, but I found at the beginning it was very, very good.
That's awesome. I haven't even is Craftsy, like, a monthly subscription, like you said?
It's a yearly thing, I think.
Cool.
I think it's like $80 a year, but a lot of times you can find it on sale. I think I got it for like $39 the first year, and then they
Wow.
had some really good deal. It was like $5 or something the second year. I think they really wanted people to stay on. So
That's awesome. Now we have another resource because I didn't even know that existed. I just was purely on YouTube for so long, and Angela Walters was like a huge person that I watched for a while, especially with her free motion quilting. I know you're getting into that now. She's got
yes,
a really like a ton of videos on that. It's really cool to watch.
yeah, Angela's fantastic. And then there's another lady. Her name is Christina. I can't remember her last name. She does some fantastic lessons on free motion as well. And I purchased a lot of her lessons from Craftsy as well. And so I can go back to those when I want to get a refresh on that as well.
That's great. That's so awesome that there's so much out there for people who maybe haven't started yet to learn even how to wind a bobbin because I didn't know what to do either. So it's nice
Yeah,
that there's so much out there for people to really get their foot in the door, you know?
right.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
definitely.
What is your favorite thing about quilting?
I find it very relaxing. I mean, I like, having like a pile of fabric or something like that and turning it into something that I can use, a friend can use, or something like that. Just being able to create something out of something, that could be considered so basic.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. It's like the tangible part of it. It starts as fabric and then at the very
Hmm.
end feels like something completely different. That's just
Exactly that. Yeah. So you worded it much better than I did.
All right, let's see. Number 4, what is your quilting style? Like, what would you consider your quilting style to be?
Well, I was looking at this the other day. I didn't really know the difference between traditional and modern, and I thought I was more modern, but based on the descriptions I'm looking at, I'm more traditional. But I believe I tend more towards the modern style fabrics.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
I
guess
would
a
say
hybrid.
your piecing leans towards traditional, but your fabrics, like especially the ones that you showed the other day that you got that you didn't spend too much on in Australia when you were out there. Those
Ah,
I would
yes,
consider more modern. Those are really beautiful.
yes,
Those are
yes.
beautiful.
I agree
So a
there.
mix of both, you would say. I think that's the best of both worlds right there.
Yeah,
All right, let's see. Number 5, do you have any other hobbies or interests outside of quilting?
I do. I enjoy cycling. I enjoy traveling and seeing new places, and I also enjoy disc golf. And that is, I brought one of the discs with me just in case someone asks a question like this. And it's basically like a frisbee, and you throw it towards, instead of a hole like in regular golf, you throw it towards it's like a big metal basket. And they have courses all over the country. They're usually in like public parks, so it's a cheap way to go out and have a bit of fun with some of your friends.
Especially with the weather warming up lately, you're gonna be outside for a lot coming up.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, quilting can be very busy, so we'll see. But yeah, I do enjoy a couple of hours outside playing around the tube when I can.
Do you have your own setup, like, outside in your backyard, like one of your own goals or whatever?
I do. I don't use it as often as I should. Yeah, that would be more for putting because I don't have a huge backyard. So,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, I do have one.
that's really cool. My husband really likes disc golf as well. He's not really that good.
Oh, I'm
He's
not
not
good at all. I
he
mean,
he would do it more often. You guys need to get together and, go do that. That'd be awesome.
yeah, we'll meet up in the middle somewhere in like Tennessee or something like.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some amazing courses out there. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we have some nice courses, and I mean, I'm not very good either. I mean, I entered a tournament last year, and I got beat by somebody that started 4 weeks before that date. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm done competing in tournaments and this. I mean, I'll go out and play for fun, but yeah, as a competition, I think I'm done.
Well, as long as you're having fun though, that's
And
what really matters.
that's it. I mean, yeah, and I can do fun for a whole lot less money than I can in a competition. So I'll stick to fun.
That's so funny. Let's see. Number 6. What is it like being a man in a female-dominated craft? Or what seems to be a female-dominated craft, at least. I think it is, but what is that like for you?
I mean, I agree. It's definitely female dominated. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm in it to enjoy the craft for myself. I find it very relaxing. I find it something that I want to do. Um, and I've always enjoyed being different to most people. I mean, I enjoy being here in America and having a cool accent. And I've never been like someone that's mainstream for a lot of things. So the only real thing I've noticed being in a what you would call a female dominated craft is, and I mentioned this in my review of the quilt show, is I have to actively go seek help at a lot of vendors and so forth, especially if I'm with my wife at a shop. They'll think it's her that's I'm there to buy the fabric, not me. Now my local quilt shop knows me pretty well now, and knows it's me. But yeah, if I go somewhere new, we usually just tell them up front, hey, here's the quilter. And Amanda will say she's the knitter.
You need to get a t-shirt or something that says, "I'm here for quilting," or "I'm the quilter," and, like, have, like, the
Yeah,
"I'm with the knitter" or something, you know?
that'd be fun. We might have to do that. And that was something I didn't explain in my video, but um, there's like I'd love to see more shirts, and I mean I know So Becca has a couple of cool ones out there, but a lot of the shirts they were selling at the quilt show were I wasn't comfortable buying because it was definitely for a lady, the print itself, even if it was like on a unisex T-shirt.
That's frustrating. I feel I would be frustrated, but hopefully it becomes more of a space that there'll be more T-shirts for you and
I
some
Yeah, I think
inclusion.
so. I think it's the tide is turning. Like like when I first started, 8 years ago, I think there was a lot less men, and I mean, there's more guys out there sewing now. We've got Ian that we all know and love, the Quilting Marine, the what is it, Man Sewing, and so forth. There's so many prominent male quilters now that I think in the coming years, I think it'll become more and more popular with the guys. I don't think the stigma is there that there was 5, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
where we were, a lot of us were afraid to even touch it.
Aw, I mean, I'm glad that you busted through and you're comfortable, because I think that's great. I mean, there could be so many people that want to try it and just feel like it's not a space for them. So to have that representation from
Yeah,
you and the other men that you mentioned, I think that's really, really cool. And definitely needed because the space is it only gets better with the more people that join it. I mean, we all learn from each other and inspire each other in different ways, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's good for guys to get out there and because I mean, there's so many prominent men clothes designers. I mean, I can't remember them all, but I mean, Michael Kors and like Tommy Hilfiger and all that sort of stuff. So, like men can definitely design and do all that sort of stuff there. And I just, I think definitely as time goes on, I think, we'll see more and more men into the quilting world.
Well, thank you for sharing some of that with us. And I think that's really cool. I applaud you for jumping in and not being afraid. I think that's great. Let's see, number 7. What are your favorite quilts that you've made in the past, and what are you wanting to make in the future?
Okay, I answered this question actually on Cotton Cuts a few weeks ago and ended up winning a 3 month subscription to their boutique box, which was really good. Probably my favorite quilt that I've made is a little Dachshund quilt. It was made for my nephew that was born 18 months ago, and it was a series of little different colored Dachshunds. And I think I've mentioned on one of my episodes a few weeks ago. That's probably one of my favorites. The bear paw quilt that I just finished is among my favorites. And then probably the other one that is one of my favorites is this temperature quilt.
Oh, wow.
Now this one was actually pieced by my sister, and then I put that. Remember that fabric you were talking about earlier? The
Yes.
Australia
Oh,
stuff?
goodness.
It's on the back. But yeah,
That
what
looks,
we did. Sorry.
sorry. I said that looks so good.
Yeah, and this is the last time I've done a double-sided quilt because it was a beast to try and line everything up.
Oh, that looks
Um,
so good.
But yeah, basically, this is our temperature quilt. This is the temperatures in her city in 2016, and then I did the temperatures in my town here in 2016, and then we exchanged the quilt tops when she came to visit last time, and then we went ahead and quilted them.
That's so fun. So she quilts as well?
Yes,
Are you teaching her, or did she already know how to?
she learned on YouTube just like I did. She saw me
That's
quilting and thought it'd be fun, and she was able to get my mother's sewing machine. So yeah, she got that and just started teaching herself. And she's made a few quilts. She made one with the hungry caterpillar for a son, and that one
oh,
was really fun. Yeah, and she's made a few. I mean, she doesn't have as much time as I do to quilt, unfortunately, but she does when she can.
oh, that's awesome. I would love to see that hungry caterpillar one. That's really cute. Is it applique or traditional?
Traditional. I'll have to get a photo of it and send it over to you when I get a chance.
That'd be
If you don't,
awesome.
yeah, if you don't see it, remind me because I tend to get distracted by shiny things.
Same, guilty. Doreen asked, "Do you put labels on your quilts?"
No, but I need to. That's on my to do list too.
It's so hard because you get to the point where you're done and you're like, "I'm done," you know? And it's like sometimes labels feel like that extra step and you're just so eager to finish it, you know? But then
Yeah.
later on, you're definitely going to be kicking yourself for not having labels, you know, in 10 years. Like, when did I make this?
That's what YouTube and Facebook's for. You take photos of and post it, and then you know when you made it.
Yeah.
But
That's what I
I do need to put labels on my. I mean, um, I have the logos printed, and a lot of them are on fabric. I just need to sew them on, but they have to be done by machine because I don't hand sew.
no, I don't who has the patience for that? I
I
applaud that.
I I admire people that can hand sew, and I think it's fantastic that it's out there. But it's not me. Like everyone's different. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember we went to Lancaster, Pennsylvania a few years ago, and I saw the quilts that the Amish ladies had made, and I was like, I I think you guys are fantastic. Like to do what you do all by hand. Although
Yeah.
I think they can use machines as long as it's not electric, like the treadle machines, the ones where you
Yeah.
press. Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure they do some of that, but yeah. Not for me.
Yeah, there are some amazing ones because when we travel, we'll go to like Branson, and they have
Uh,
a quilt store that we walked in and we walked through, and they had these giant quilts, just like on these giant racks that you could flip through. And
yeah,
I mean, there's some tedious sewing there. I could not imagine doing that kind of stuff. I mean, that's a lot of talent and a
oh,
lot of patience.
definitely. Yes.
So what is your favorite kind of quilt block?
Good question. Um, Definitely something bright and colorful. And I also like something that looks complex but is actually easier to put together than you think it is. Like the Rhapsody quilt that I made earlier this year. I mean, that thing looks very complicated, but I mean, it's very easy to put together. And even the pinwheel quilt that I'm working on at the moment, again, looks very complicated, but goes together so easily. I mean, I put together 12 of those blocks last night, in just a couple of hours, and I was like, it looks so much more complicated than that.
Who doesn't love a little illusion?
Hey, I'm all for that.
Um, who are your favorite fabric designers or your favorite collections?
I'm drawn more to the fabric itself, more so than a collection or a designer. I do like Alison Glass, as I've mentioned in the past, and then Timeless Treasures I find has really good novelty fabrics. But at the end of the day, I know a lot of people have favorite designers and favorite collections, whereas I just go into a store and browse, and if something catches my eye, I grab that and then go about my day.
That's dangerous. You gotta limit it down. At least I do, where I'm like, okay, I like this, so I don't look anywhere else, because there's too many fun fabrics out there to choose.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, I set a budget. I say, okay, look, I can spend up to this much, and then I wander around and look at everything, and then I make my decision on which one I'm going to buy, and then which one can wait till later. Or thankfully, I have some self control, not much, but a little bit.
I think my husband would agree. I need a little bit more. I've been good lately. I've been good, but he doesn't take me to the fabric shop often, so that says something.
Yeah, I
um,
usually go by myself. I spend less when I go by myself.
that's so funny because we're opposite. Does your wife pick things out that she likes to add into your cart?
Sometimes I like taking her because she'll find stuff that I miss, and
Hmm.
she has an excellent eye for fabric and colors and everything else. So I love taking her, but if I'm in a hurry, I need to go by myself.
That sounds like a true man right there. At least that's similar to my husband's thinking. He's the one pulling things out of my cart while I'm walking around, taking forever.
Yeah,
Christine asked, "Do you have any tips for t-shirt quilts?"
Manny, I'm actually working on recording a series on how to make them. I started recording that this morning, and I hope to have the first one. It's going to be like a step by step from start to finish on that. But my main tip for t-shirt quilts would be use fusible backing. Don't try and do it without it. I mean, you can buy the. I use the Pellon. I think it's P44F. It's like 99 cents a yard at Joann's if it's not on sale. I buy a bolt at a time because it's like $26 for a whole bolt and it lasts like forever. But it just makes the whole process so easy. And then if you go to make a lot, definitely invest in a steam press because it makes it a whole lot easier than using an iron. Like an iron, you got to push down on each little section for 15 to 30 seconds, and it takes like 15-20 minutes per shirt. And the steam press, I can have it done in two.
Did you know I found a hack for if you go to Joann's and you buy your interfacing? Do you have the Joann app?
Yes,
So the coupons, if it's not on sale, sometimes they have like a 50% off one cut of fabric or something like that. And
right.
technically, the interfacing, if you buy it by the bolt, or even, if you just buy a few yards of it, that counts as a cut of fabric, so you can get it
Right.
50% off. So never buy your interfacing full price
Oh, I
ever.
always
It's,
buy I always buy 50% off. Yeah, if it's
yeah,
not 50% off, it's too much money.
exactly. Especially for you do a lot of t-shirt quilts, don't you?
I
Or are you
have. I mean, I'm working on like the one I'm working on one at the moment. Like I was just saying, but yeah, I mean, usually I make two or three a year, but this year I've got some in the works, like orders down the road, but they haven't come in yet.
Mhm.
But yeah, that is one of my favorite things to do.
Really? You so you like making t-shirt quilts?
I love it. I mean,
Oh,
that's up
I'm
until
on the
this.
too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, up until this year, that was the bulk of my quilts.
Really.
Yeah,
There's a lot of steps. I think after I made my first one, I was like, wow, like that's a lot of extra steps compared to just starting with quilt cotton. But they're so well loved and it's a great way to make a keepsake. So I think that's cool that you enjoy doing it. I sometimes I groan about it, but at the end it's always a really, really neat thing to make. I think that's really cool that you make a few of those every
yeah,
year.
and I find that the steam press makes it a whole lot easier. I mean, I used to hate putting the backing on the iron, and I'd swear and curse and say words that I'm not going to repeat on here. Um, and apparently, I said it enough times that my wife went out and found a steam press for me and presented it to me one Christmas morning. Because I mean, I looked at it, and that's something strange. Like when I did my research, nobody was talking about using them.
Really? Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
never heard of it. When you said that, because I made that video about the steam fast, and you're like, I have the steam press.
yeah,
And I'm like, what? They make a press? That would be amazing. And maybe that's my problem with t-shirt quilting because I use an iron and it takes forever because you're like
yeah,
down, lift, down, lift, down, lift. So to have that kind of streamline the process would be amazing. That's really
yeah.
cool that I found that for you.
Yeah, no, and I said I looked into it, but there was kind of like mixed reviews, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to spend I think it was like 140 or $150 on that. And apparently, she decided I needed it, and yeah, it's been the best thing ever. I mean, if you're going to make more than a couple of t-shirt quilts, I highly, highly recommend just spend the money. You won't regret it. It's good for I use it for binding as well. Like I just put the strip of binding on there and just press it down. I mean, I can do a whole quilt's worth of binding, like pressing it, in about 4 or 5 minutes.
That's such a good suggestion. You're having me contemplate whether I need to get one or not because I have a
You-
t-shirt coming up for a graduation present for a family member and I told myself I'm only going to say no to t-shirt quilts from here on out and I can't say no to family or friends. So I got the thing and maybe if I had a press I would be cursing a little less.
You will. I promise you, you will. And the other nice thing about the press too, what I use a lot for is if I want to go ahead and press like a half yard of fabric or a yard of fabric. I mean, again, you just put it in there, pull it down, count to four, pull it up, and then in about a minute you've done a whole yard or 2 yards or a whole backing of a quilt next to no time. I think every quilter needs one if they're going to do any serious amount of quilting.
I
You
love
don't use
that.
it. You don't use it every day, but it's something that you don't know how you lived without it before you had it.
Yeah, and save so much time. That's you're having me consider buying one. My husband's probably upstairs cursing you right now. No, Sean,
Well,
don't make her
don't you have a birthday coming up soon or something?
December.
Oh, okay.
But
Wedding anniversary.
September. All of our fun dates are at the end of the year, so my time has come and went. But maybe if I don't have one, maybe for my
Oh,
Christmas or
Mother's
Christmas.
Day's not far away.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that'd be a beautiful Mother's Day gift.
I love that. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to give him a talk about that. We'll see where we end up. I'll let you know.
And then the other
um,
thing is, she paid it off. Like Amazon also offered it where you could pay it off in like 4 monthly payments too.
oh,
So
that's
that's also an option. I think that's what she ended up doing. It was like $30 a month for 4 or 5 months.
oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah,
That's really good. It takes the sting out a little bit. That's
yeah,
my husband's an accountant, so a little backstory there. Numbers, especially quilting related numbers, are give him some anxiety, I think. um, okay, let's see. We are on 10 now. Are there any new techniques you want to learn within quilting?
I want to learn it
Like
all.
Oh, sorry, like collage quilting or anything like that.
I want to learn everything. I mean, a little bit at a time. You and I have talked about paper piecing, and that's something I want to learn at some point in the future. And free motion quilting I've talked about in my podcast over the recent. But yeah, I'm still young, so I still have plenty of time to learn. But I would like to learn a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I like that. There's so many fun things to try. And when you're ready for paper piecing, when you're ready to take the plunge, I will help you if you have any questions because I started it and I'm obsessed. You're going to absolutely love it.
Yeah, you and I might need to get together in the very near future because I've talked about it. This solar flare quilt has the paper piecing for the very center of it, and I've looked over those instructions about 10 times already, and it's all like it's in. I'd like to say French, but I understand a little French, like Japanese or Chinese or something like that. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. So
I would love to help you. And like you said, you mentioned earlier that you like the blocks that look more complex than it is. I mean, that's what paper piecing is. It looks a
right,
lot more complex than it is. And you can achieve those really, you know, intricate designs with the strong points and everything. Once you get the hang of it, it's a breeze. You're gonna love it.
yeah, I will. I have to set the time aside to do it. I've got so much um, on my plate at the moment, with all the other quilts that I've got myself
Yeah.
into. I don't want to have too many unfinished objects floating around at the same time. So we'll finish them up, and then we'll talk and get the paper piecing adventure started.
I'd love to do that. That'd be so fun. What motivated you to start a YouTube channel?
My wife watches a lot of the knitting podcasts, and she's been doing that for a number of years. And we like to spend time together. So whether I'm watching something else on my tablet or computer at the same time, I listen to them, and I noticed that there wasn't really anything like that for quilters. And I was like, you know what, I can do this, and I kind of stole the format or borrowed the format or copied the, whatever you want to call it, from what they did, shortened it up so it was, under 10 minutes, and then gave it a try. And then I also did it to keep it accountable because if I have, you know, 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people watching me, I need to have something to show them each week. So, I can't just sit on my tail and go, oh, well, we'll do that next week because that's going to be a very boring episode.
Yeah, I love that. What which like knitting podcast were you watching
Oh,
with her?
she watches so many. She watches The Crazy Sock Lady, is one of her favorites. And then, I think it's 11 Stitches by Nitty Natty. And yeah, there's so many others. I can't name them all. I'll be here until midnight.
Were you nervous to start it or did you just kind of go for it and
I was scared. I'm very very introverted. So yeah, I bought the tripod that I put my phone on about 10 months before I started. It took me
oh,
that long to yeah, it took me that long to pluck up the courage to at least try. And I knew like the first few episodes at least might get watched by my wife and a couple of friends at most. I knew nobody would watch it really, and
well
I
look
was
at you
still.
now. Look at you
I
now. You
mean,
have
yeah.
so many
I'm
supporters.
yeah, but getting started was the hardest part. I'm so shy. I'm so nervous around new people. It's not even funny. Um, but I finally just took the plunge and said, okay, let's just do it and see what happens.
Well, I'm glad you did because I do enjoy watching your videos and I'm not sure I would have gathered the courage either. It's cool to see other people um just going after their dreams. It makes it something less scary for everyone else. So I think that's really
Yeah,
cool that you just went for it, and you're doing a really great job. I love watching your podcasts. So I'm glad you did a good job just going for it because now I have
yeah,
fun videos to watch.
exactly. And then I encourage anyone, if anyone's ever sitting on the fence and saying, do I want to do this or not, just try. Really, I know you hear this all the time, but if I can do it, anyone can. So,
Yeah, and I feel like if you're talking about something you're truly passionate about, I feel like other people will catch on to that. Like I could listen to someone, even if I don't know a lot about cooking or something, I could listen all day to someone talk about cooking if they're truly, passionate about it and they
Oh,
love it and you
definitely.
can get that vibe from them. I think that's just incredible. And um so I think that's great. I love all the quilting videos and um I'm proud of you because my husband's very, very shy and like even when we go to the grocery store, if he like sees me lock in on someone that I know and he just knows that I'm gonna go say hi or something, he's already on the other half of the store running away. So I know
He's like my long lost twin apparently.
I know you guys need to go do disc golf together and be shy together. He would love that.
Yeah, sounds good. I like that.
What are your long-term goals? This can be for YouTube or quilting or anything.
Long term goals. I want to keep the momentum up. I mean, I've had fantastic momentum here in 2022, and I want to keep that up. I want to make more quilts to make people happy. I've talked about the quilt that I made for the um, pet rescue earlier this year that I did with Sobeka, the dinosaur quilt that a lot of people that I've watched my podcast have heard me talk about, and I want to make T-shirt quilts for people that have lost loved ones and so forth in the past, and I want so that way they have something to hold on to,
Yeah.
and I'd love to be able to do that for them for low cost or no cost at some point in the future. I mean that's still like a long term goal. I mean I've got to figure out a way to finance that, but that is something I've been thinking about for quite some time now because like you said earlier, you can take those t-shirt quilts and cozy yourself up underneath it. And I think when you've lost a loved one, I mean that's something that you can definitely have. So I mean that's something I want to do, going down the road as much as I can.
Yeah. I think that's a lovely idea. I think especially those memory t-shirt quilts, that's just a really cool thing for you to want to do in the future. And if you need help financing it, that's something that I would definitely love to go in on with you or something because memory quilts, I just think you can't replace them. Like they are
Right.
sometimes hard to make, but you know that quilt's going to be well loved for the rest of time. And so, if you ever want to talk about that, I would definitely love to donate materials or whatever. So,
Yeah, we'll work something out. I mean, I just don't want to commit to too many at the same time. I don't
yeah.
want, 50 people coming in saying I want a quilt.
Yeah.
I do have a full time job that I have to attend to, you know, be able to feed Finley and Copper and Bandit. So,
Yeah, I understand. There's never enough time in the day, especially when you have other requirements out of quilting. I'm lucky. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I get a lot of help from my husband, but I couldn't imagine the time being taken away even more with having a job outside of quilting because there's never enough time in the day already,
um,
as it seems.
but to
um,
make the best of what you have,
yeah, that's very true. What is your least favorite part in the quilting process?
pinning, pinning the quilts.
Do
I
you pin still?
sorry.
Do you pin even if you don't enjoy it? Do you use clips or anything?
I mean, I use pins. I mean, I do it. I mean, I think it's because I have like a limited space to pin. I used to do it on the floor and hate doing that because it just tears your knees up. And so I do it on a table, which works, but it just takes a while. And then sometimes you turn the quilt over and it's all bunched up at the back, and then you got to undo all the pins and redo it again. And yeah, it's just if I have to pick a part that I least like, that's definitely it.
That's interesting. I can't trust myself with pins. I poke myself too much. That's my problem with pins. I don't do
Uh,
it. I just fudge it up and try and line it up as best as I can. Um, but your quilts look amazing, so you can. I feel like pinning is definitely important. I'm buffering so bad. I will watch the replay. I gave you a thumbs up. What I could think was great. Yeah, I'm not sure. My video, like on here, is frozen, so I'm not sure if I'm frozen on your end or not. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, you've froze it like momentarily a couple of times, but I mean, it's been like from what I can see, it looks okay. It may be a disconnect between you and I, and then going over to YouTube.
Yeah,
Is anyone like going to the audience? Is anyone else experiencing the buffering problems? Just so we know.
I'll check on here too. I'll ask my husband to check.
Okay. Because we are living and learning as we go along. So.
Yes, we are. And technology sometimes can limit what we can do. Sometimes it's just out of our control.
Oh,
I'm just
absolutely.
frozen on your end because for me, my face has been just like stuck like this for like the past 30 minutes. I'm like, whoa, I hope that's not the case. But
No, I mean you've been pretty good so far. I mean, one or two short things, but that's it.
good. I'm glad our connection is good, at least for us.
All right, so
Everyone's
we've got
oh,
Lisa and Kathy saying no buffering. So yeah, it may just be isolated to a couple of people. So
okay.
I say we just keep on rocking and seeing what happens.
All right. My husband said we are not frozen on either. So thumbs up.
Okay. Oh, got more people saying good. So okay, excellent.
All right, so the next question is what are some of your favorite notions or tools?
This is my favorite tool.
No.
This is my mate Jack. And then these are almost my next favorite tool, my little clips. I mean, like, especially for you, like you're saying, you get stuck. I mean, I'll pin the quilts, but anytime, if everything else, definitely the clips are the way to go. And I know there's Wonder Clips, but I just bought the off-brand version from Amazon. It was like 100 for $10 or something like that. And those things have been working like a champ. I mean, they are starting to break now, and every couple of weeks another one breaks. But I've had them for 5 or 6 years. So I mean,
Wow.
for what I paid for, I mean, I've gotten exceptional value out of them. So I'll just go buy another 100 at some point. And
Were they the ones that came in the cute little like tin bucket?
no, I know which ones
No.
you're talking about. I mean, these were just they were all I wanted them all the same color, just for uniformity's sake. And as I can't remember which ones they were, I could go on my Amazon list and go look it up. But I just bought them and figured, if they last half as long and they're a third of the cost, then I'm still ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to buy the Wonder Clips either. Especially it's like such a small package. You get like 15 of them for so much. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
you could spend that money on a couple of yards of fabric. So yeah, just buy the cheap ones, and as I've noticed, have not noticed any issue in the quality of them.
yeah, I think those are one of the best tools. The clips are amazing, and
Yeah,
um, it should help your pinning situation if you don't like pins. Just use more of those.
yeah, but I like to pin every 4 to 6 inches on a quilt, because otherwise I do find it does bunch up.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, at least for me.
Oh, I heavily rely on those clips because I'm just so terrible with pins. My husband can attest to that. I mean, this finger, I'm problematic with anything sharp. So
Oh, okay.
let's see, 15. So I'm doing whips and tips on my videos, and I just wanted to see if you have any work in progress quilts right now, and then a tip that you'd like to share or a hack that you'd like to share with us today.
I do have several whips, as I've mentioned a little bit earlier, but they're all downstairs. They're not up here with me. But if you check out my recent podcast, or if you want to see what I'm currently working on, definitely tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. You'll get to see exactly what I'm working on. I do that each week, so that way you can all see up to date. And for a tip, I say ask for help. If you see a pattern that isn't great, or doesn't explain it as well as you want it to, ask somebody, or go on the YouTube and look up a video and just try and help yourself out, rather than just saying, "Hey, I give up. I had I was making a wallet for my wife a few years ago, and the patterns were terrible. I mean, they didn't explain anything. I mean, I think you needed to be an experienced wallet maker to make it worthwhile, and I just struggled. But I found videos on YouTube from a lady, and I was able to get it done, and it was really good, and it was really fun because that, like a couple of months later, I went to the quilt show, and she was actually one of the vendors there. And
Oh,
so I went to her and said, "Hey, I watched your videos, and you actually helped me finish this." And she thought that was the greatest thing ever.
that's really cool. I love that. I'm sure that felt cool for both of you, but
Oh,
um,
definitely.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So yeah,
Um,
always reach out. If I can, if you have a question, I can help. I'll help. I mean, I don't know everything, but yeah, just yeah, don't give up. Just try to ask, get help from somebody.
I think that's like the biggest thing that I quickly realized about the quilting community is that I feel like there's always a seat for someone else to learn, and everyone's so willing to kind of offer up any help or suggestions to people who are wanting to learn. I think that it's such a really like inclusive community.
Oh, very much so.
No one's like guarding any secrets, everyone's very willing, at least from what I've seen, to allow people to come in. I think that's really cool.
Yes.
Who do you look up to within the quilting community?
A lot, so many people. I mean, I look up to anybody that's willing to give it a shot. I mean, there's so many people in the YouTube community that I look up to. I just don't think it'd be fair for me to name names because there's just so many.
Yeah, I don't want to leave
Because
anyone out.
I'm gonna leave somebody out, and then I'm gonna feel bad
Yeah, understandable. Um, what is your favorite part in the quilting process?
when I'm done. I love that feeling when you finally finish that last bit of binding, and you can pull it out and hold it in front of you and go, "Look what I just did."
That's a unmatchable feeling, I feel like. So much
Absolutely, yeah.
joy and relief and pride and happiness. I think that's what we're all chasing, I think, that feeling. And Nellie asked, Sean, do you iron and starch your fabric before cutting them?
Not unless I have to. I don't starch, and then I only iron if I have to. If I can get away with not ironing it, my mother she ironed everything. She ironed clothes. She ironed undergarments. I mean, she was like the world's ironing queen. But both of her children that quilt despise ironing unless they absolutely have to.
Yeah, that would be my part of the least favorite. I do not like ironing, but my mother-in-law is the same way. Every time she's like, "Do you want me to iron for you? I love ironing. It's so meditative." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's just an added step." It definitely helps, but if I can get away with it, I will avoid it as well.
And
I
having
think
the
that's
same press helps because you can do a whole lot at once. So
yeah, that's and then there's so much more surface area covered at one
yeah,
time.
exactly. Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Let's see. Do you listen to anything in the background while you're quilting?
I do. I usually watch something on Netflix or Hulu. A lot of times I watch different podcasts and so forth from YouTube. Like a lot of times I watch your videos from and so Becca and Stephanie and the rest of the crew. Just something I never thought I would, but I do enjoy something in the background.
Hmm. I think it's nice to have something alongside the hum of the machine, something to keep your mind
Right,
going. Let's see. What does your craft space look like right now?
a hot mess. It needs to be cleaned up something fierce, and it's something I need to do very very soon.
Well, it's hard to keep everything orderly when you have so much going on, too, because, like you said, you have a lot of whips and stuff that you're working on. So I feel like it's hard to kind of tidy up when you've got so much going on.
Yeah, and I also like my sewing studio also doubles as my home office during the week. So a lot of times, I just push stuff to the side to turn it into like a workstation as opposed to um, a quilting studio. So I think that's half of my problem. But yeah, I do need to be better about keeping it more orderly.
It's hard. It's hard. And I feel like no matter what space you have, it's so hard, especially after you have that feeling of finishing the quilt and then you look at your sewing room and you're like, no, I don't, I don't want to
Yeah,
do
they can
it.
wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, that can wait for a while. I think that's so relatable. What's one of the silliest quilting mistakes you've ever made?
I mean, there's so many, but I mean, I think the big one is not, they always tell you measure twice, cut once, and yeah, I think
Yeah.
that. I mean, I've sewn stuff together backwards. I've put. That's why my friend Jack. That's why him and I are good friends. I mean, there's a lot of silly things. I mean, if you can name it, I've probably done it at least once.
Do you have a site? And just asking. I believe.
I no. I mean, just well, I have the YouTube channel. I do have a Facebook page and an Instagram account, and I'm the guy who sews on all three, and I do have those details on my videos, and just one of my regular viewers, so she knows where to. She looks up any of my videos and looks in the description. She'll be able to see it there pretty easily. And then my email is the guy who sews at gmail.com as well. You're always welcome to email me with any questions or show me your projects or anything else like that.
Thank you for sharing that. I also saw in the comments that let's see. I don't want to butcher her last name, but she said Sean pin bastes. So when you were saying talking about pins, were you talking about safety pins?
Yes.
Okay, I was talking about like the these right here. Hold on.
Oh, the straight pins.
Yes, I was talking about these. So yeah,
Ah,
definitely, safety pins are definitely necessary for basting. I totally
yes.
did not understand that correctly.
Yeah. No, yeah, when I was like basting I always hate to use the word based. I call that pinning.
Yeah,
Pinning the quilt.
I was like, well, you could just use clips, and so now it all
Yeah.
makes sense. You were talking about it bunching in the back. I I switched to spray basting. Have you tried that?
I used it once or twice, but I find it's expensive and I don't like the smell. So
Yeah.
I'd rather just take the extra time, even though I hate it, and pin base.
It is tedious work. I mean, like I would always use my hand like this, like every 4 or 5 inches to go. And then, like you said, your knees just totally kill at the end of
Yeah,
it. You're like, oh my goodness.
I can't do it. I mean, I'm not old by any stretch, but like I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. So I use my dining room table and just do a section at a time and move it, and for the most part it works. I just check it once in a while to make sure there's not a great big fold at the back that I'm not seeing, but
Yeah.
it works well. But it just takes you know basically like you finish piecing and then you're like, I'm ready to quilt, and then there's this big old
Nope.
deal that you have to do in between. So I think it's
Yeah.
just a lot of it's
Back.
probably impatience.
Oh, she was asking me. Yes, I have a YouTube called Goody Goods, and I just kind of post what I'm working on and like hauls, or if I go to the fabric store, which lately has not been very often. I'm proud of myself, but I do like to buy fabric, so I talk about it on there. I thought you were asking Sean, so I didn't read that right. All right, so the next question is, what is a piece of advice you'd like to share with a new quilter? Something you've learned along the way or wish you would have known when you started?
I think I kind of covered.
Asking questions and
Yeah, yeah. Do not be afraid to reach out and ask for help, because we do have, like, when you start, especially if you're trying to self teach yourself. There's so there's so many things that you may or may not know. I mean, there's still quilting terms that I don't know, and I've been doing this now close to 10 years. So don't be afraid to Google it or look it up, or ask somebody, because it definitely, that's the biggest piece of advice I can offer. And then definitely get a seam ripper and measure twice and cut once.
and curse none if you do it
Uh,
that way.
if you have to get it out, you got to get it out. Just watch what's around you.
All right, so now we're going to do some fun, quick questions. There's only a few, and then at the very end, we can open it up to if anyone has any specific questions for you. But
Okay.
these are just going to be like fun ones. So the first one is, For fabric, solids or prints?
It depends on the quilt. I love using both.
Okay, I like that answer. 2, flying geese or half square triangles?
Half square triangles. I mean, I've done flying geese a couple of times, and I mean they're okay, but I'd rather do 300 half square triangles than 100 flying geese.
I think I agree with you on that one. Traditional piecing or foundation paper piecing?
Well, we all know the answer to that one already. Well, ask
It
me
could
that one again in 6 months.
change. It could change. We need to stay
Yeah,
tuned because
yeah.
I'm
Stay
very
tuned.
confident
Come back and
today.
ask me again in 6 months or a year, and we'll see what it is.
Okay. Fair answer. Machine binding or hand binding?
We talked about this machine. I mean, yeah, hand quilting is not for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Bold colors or muted neutrals?
For the most part, definitely bold. I mean, there are definitely quilts out there that muted neutrals look beautiful, and I believe are the best choice. But I tend to gravitate towards the bold colors.
Okay. And you mentioned Allison Glass, so she definitely qualifies as bold colors.
Yeah,
Um, let's see. Machine quilting or hand quilting?
I'll give you
How
one
much do you
guess.
love hand sewing? That's all we're trying to ask.
I'm terrible at hand sewing. I've tried it a couple of times, and I think it'd look worse than if your youngest daughter tried it. So, it's, yeah, not for me.
Hey, Louise could be, a hand quilter in the making. You never know. She could be a
Uh,
prodigy.
she could be, and I mean, I think if you gave it to her now at 10 months old, I think she'd still do a better job than I would. So,
That's so funny. I'm gonna have to let her know about that once she understands a little bit more. That's so funny. And then this one we also kind of covered, but pin basting or spray basting?
pin.
Okay. That's how I started out. I did a ton of pin basting, but like I said, even though we're not talking about these needles, I still poke myself with safety clips. I would always get myself like right in the bed of my nail every single time.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm like, well, a lot of these quilts are getting a personal touch from me because then I would start bleeding. And I'm like, no, I can't do this on a quilt. So I switched to spray basting, but I do think pin basting, keeps things a lot more stabilized. But yeah, those were all of the fun questions and everything that I had to ask you today. And I just want to thank you for coming on today. We're going to open it up to anyone who may be watching that wants to ask you any questions. And after that, we'll just wrap up and let everyone get to their Saturdays. So, is there anything that anyone wants to ask Sean before we hop off?
Or do we have any questions for Beth? I mean, we can ask her some questions too if you want. Yeah, I always like options. But yeah, with your safety pins, do you use the straight ones or do you use those bent ones that they specific?
The straight ones. Are you using curved ones?
I have a mixture. I mean, I have a little bucket that has some of the straight ones, and I actually went out and bought, I think, maybe 100 or so of the ones with the curve in it, and I find they are so much easier. So if you have to do pin basting, they are a little more expensive, but I do think it's worth the money on those.
I might have to do it again. It's just been so long, and I've heard amazing things about the curved ones. People are like, I only pin base with the curved ones.
Yeah.
And I've also seen there's like a tool, it's kind of like a stick or something, where people will use that to kind of manipulate the pin part and like secure underneath so that you aren't using your hands. I think it's really good for like people with arthritis as well. I'm not sure what the
Okay.
gadget's called, but I've seen something like that.
Okay, that's new to me. But yeah, I find the curves one, you kind of just stick it in and it kind of just works its way back out again. I mean, they're infinitely easier than the straight ones. So, um, again, you can usually find them reasonably inexpensively at Amazon as compared to, Joann's or some other places. I mean, you can pick up, even if you get like 100 or 150 or something just to do like one decent sized quilt, I find it a whole lot easier.
I'm not seeing anyone asking any questions. Courtney said this was good and I believe she's going live after we get off here for some long arm quilting.
Yes, I believe so.
If you guys want to go over to her page and watch that, that would be awesome. I know I'm going to go check it out. Everyone, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Thank you. That would be amazing.
Yep. And then Lisa's asking who I'm chatting with. This is my friend Beth. She has a YouTube channel. She started, what, 2 or 3 months ago?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fresh.
Yes. And she does it. Her style is very similar to mine. She does a lot of reviews and fabric hauls, and she had a really good video on her visit to KC Maker Studios, her local quilt shop. I mean, she has some great content. So if you enjoy my channel, definitely check her channel out as well. It is Goody Goods, which is you can see it there and at the bottom of her name there, and yeah, definitely look it up. And because she's I watch her stuff all the time myself.
Well, thank you. I'm just glad that we were able to connect because I do consider you one of my quilty friends, and I really appreciate you taking your time out of the day today to let me ask you some questions and get to know you a little bit better.
Oh, not a problem.
Christine says, "Thanks, Beth and Sean. Enjoyed it. Thank you for tuning in." Christine, I hope you're doing well. And Nellie said, "I'm glad Sean said look for help because I have learned on myself." Yeah, I think that's a really great suggestion to just don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions. I think that's a really good tidbit because there's just so much to learn. Like, quilting is not, I feel like it's not like a straightforward process. It's like bing, 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 bing. Like there's so many things along the way where you could get caught up and really need some help. And if you can't reach out, it'd be so much harder to really get in there.
Yeah.
Courtney said they're both amazing YouTubers and don't forget to check them out. Thank you, Courtney. And Jeannie says, "Hi, Sean. Just got here. Cleaning house. Have to watch the replay."
Yes, yeah,
So
definitely
thank
do that. We had a blast here, so yeah, definitely go back and check out the replay and watch it. You know, because Beth had some really good questions, and I had a blast answering them as well.
Oh, before we hop off, I know you said Finley's not in the room with you, but does Finley want to make an appearance before you're off?
No,
Is
she's
he
been
here?
downstairs. She has. I have not seen her. It's really, yeah, really strange. I
Is
mean,
she
you,
campsite today?
she must be asleep, and with her, you let sleeping dogs lie.
Exactly. I would not want to be disturbed either. Let me nap. So I think that's all. I'm not seeing any other questions coming through, and so I'll let you go, and maybe we can work on some of our whips after this and
Yes.
narrow down that list. I'm really looking forward to watching your video tomorrow morning. And Courtney, I will be tuning in on your live coming up so
Yeah,
that
yeah. Courtney does a great job too with her videos. If you haven't watched any of her content yet, definitely check out her channel. It's Pieces Love and Quilting, and she does some fantastic lives too. So she's scheduled to go on pretty shortly. So yeah, definitely. Actually, Finley might be coming up here. Finley, here she is. Come here.
like
You must have
talking
heard
about,
your name. Come
I'll
here.
do my I'll do my appearance.
All right, hang on. All right, here's Miss Finley
Hi,
by popular demand.
Finley. How nice to have you. Are you ready for your list of questions?
She says, I like food,
Would
food
you
and
rather
naps.
not go for a walk?
You're like, she likes to knit sometimes.
Oh,
By
that's
knit,
amazing.
we mean pull the yarn apart and I have to untangle it.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but you're a good
Hi,
girl right now.
Finley. I'm so glad she could come on.
Yes, yeah, you must have heard Miss Beth asking for you.
That's awesome. Well, I'll let you go. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about or mention?
No, I think I covered everything. I mean, had a blast, and I appreciate you inviting me out so I could do an interview and get some more live experience because, like I said earlier, I am very introverted and shy, and I find that the more of these I do, the more comfortable I get doing them.
Well, I'm glad. I feel like I don't sense any of that energy from your way, and I really enjoyed it. So, thank you for letting me pick your brain a little bit, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Hopefully, there's no snow and hurricanes like we were
I
talking
don't
about.
think so. Not today. I think it's supposed to be like 55, 60. So we should be safe.
Maybe you can go do some disc golf when you're done here.
Maybe.
That'd be nice to get some fresh air.
Yep.
Well, I'll talk to you later. Thank you,
All right.
Sean.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.